when you think about it, the Christian faith sounds crazy. We believe that God became a human being. We believe that the Creator entered into His creation and became part of it. He who upholds and sustains all things, without whose ongoing action, upholding all things by the word of His power, we would wink out of existence. Not only does He uphold the creation, not only does He sustain the creation, He entered into His creation and He walked in our midst. And those who knew Him during the time of His ministry, they spoke with Him, they laughed with Him, they touched Him. They heard His voice, they saw Him, and they touched Him. If you think about it, it's either crazy or it's true. And it happens we believe it's true. But we're a little bit uncomfortable with it. We like to put some distance between ourselves and this remarkable reality. And even in the time when the Lord walked the earth, by His condescension, lowering Himself to be at our level, not forcing the truth of this unbelievable reality upon us, He walked not in the fullness of His glory as we saw once on the day of transfiguration, but as a meek and gentle teacher, so that He could be in the midst of a crowd and no one would know that they were bumping up against the Creator of all things. This is the story that we have presented to us today. In the midst of the miracle of the little girl who died and was raised from the dead by the hand that had made her and sustained her in life, we have this picture of the Lord walking in the midst of a tight crowd. Imagine how many of you have been to a baseball game or a football game. You know what the crowds are like as you're pressing through the gates. That kind of crowd, the kind of crowd you get on the field when the team wins a big game and everyone rushes in. The kind of crowd you're almost scared of because they press upon you and you can barely breathe and everyone is touching everyone else. That kind of crowd. And the Lord is there. The Creator of all things is there in the midst. And in the middle of this madhouse, struggling to make his way through, the disciples are using their shoulders. They're shoving their way, trying to make a path for him. And he's calm, and then he stops. And they say, Lord, what? We got to move. And he says, hang on, someone touched me. And they look at him like he is the crazy one. What do you mean, Lord? Someone touched you. You see the crowd? Everybody is touching you, and you're going to be touching some more because move out. And he says, no, no, no. Someone touched me because I perceive that power has gone out of me. And he looks around until the woman finally comes forward and says, it was me. I was sick. I've been bleeding for 12 years. But it stopped. And he says, "Woman, great is your faith. Be blessed. Go in peace." And he carries on and he raises the little girl from the dead. And it's just another miracle along the way. But we need to stop and pay attention to this. Because it's easy to put Christ in the crowd. It's comfortable. It's much preferable for us to think of him as just another guy, an important one that we put on icons, one that we talk about in prayers, but just, not too beyond normal. Because if we think about the crazy part, the miraculous part, the wonder of the presence of God, the infinite creator, in our midst, it's too much. But we miss out. We fail to encounter him as he is when we build a box around him. And this woman shows us the other way, because she does not come intending to pretend that he's normal. She doesn't need normal. She's had enough of normal. 12 years of normal. She needs a miracle. And she comes with the intent to find the wonder that is present in the Lord. And she reaches out her hand, as a greater preacher than I has said, with purpose and intent. She's not just there. She's not just bumping into him. She reaches out and she touches the maker of all things. She reaches out and places her hand on the one who sustains being itself. She reaches out, hoping, begging, praying for a miracle. And she receives it. Because the normal flesh is a veil for the eternal, blinding divinity. And she does not see. She touches the maker of all things. So too do we. Every Sunday, every feast day, every time we enter the church, we taste, we see how good the Lord is. Unless we put blinders on. Unless we put God in a box and push him far away because we don't have time for a miracle today. Let it not be so now. Let us open our eyes. Let us lift up our hearts. Let us raise up our hands. And let us run to encounter the Lord, our Master, our Savior, our Creator. Amen.